let's get started on example 12. So again, whenever you are dividing a polynomial by a monomial, or whenever you have a fraction with a polynomial in the numerator and monomial in the denominator, what you do is you take your entire denominator and you divide it into every single term in the numerator. Okay, so since I have 3 terms in the numerator, I'm going to be dividing 3 times. And each time I'm going to divide by 2x. Okay, so what this is going to equal, I'm going to have 3 things. Okay, so the first time I'm going to have 14x to the third. The second time I'll have negative 8x squared. And then my third time I'll have a 5x. Okay, I'm going to take every single term and divide it by 2x. So all of these will get divided by 2x. Okay, and then don't forget, if you're ever missing an exponent, if it helps you, you can add a 1 to each exponent that you don't see. Okay, don't forget when you divide, okay, what you do is you divide the coefficients, and then when you have variables with exponents, you subtract the exponents. Okay, so let's get started. So 14 divided by 2, well, that will give me 7, so I'm dividing the coefficients. 14 divided by 2, that will give me 7. Okay, and then x to the third over x, I'm going to subtract my exponents. So 3 minus 1 gives me a 2, so 7x squared. Okay, again, in my next one, I'm going to divide the coefficients. So I'm going to divide the 2 and the negative 8. So negative 8 divided by 2, well, that's a negative 4. Okay, and I'm going to subtract my exponents. So x squared divided by x, well, 2 minus 1 is 1. So it'd be x to the first, or just x. And then lastly, I'm going to divide my coefficients. Well, 5 over 2, that does not divide evenly. And we're not going to do decimals. Remember, decimals are the devil, unless we're doing real world problems, because decimals unfortunately occur in the real world. But right now we're in the math world. We're not going to do decimals. We're just going to leave it. If 5 doesn't divide by 2, guess what, you guys? All it equals is 5 halves. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Okay, converting that to a decimal is going to take more work than just writing 5 halves. So I'm going to write, it's a positive, so positive 5 halves. It did not divide evenly, so it's just 5 halves. And then x divided by x, well, since they are the same variables with the same exponents, they will cancel out and turn to 1. Anything divided by itself is 1. Or remember, 1 minus 1 is 0, which will give you x to the 0 power, which is 1. So however you want to look at it. Okay, so technically that's 5 halves. The x's turn to 1. So technically if you wanted to, I'm going to write over here, technically if you wanted to write this term as 5 halves times 1, you could. Sorry. Because x divided by x is 1. Well, 5 halves times 1 is 5 halves. So just remember, you guys, when you are canceling things out, it kind of looks like it goes away, but it doesn't. Secretly, it turns to 1, but when you multiply things by 1, you get the same thing. So this term is just going to be 5 halves, or 5 halves times 1, which is 5 halves. Okay, so this is my final answer. That's what each of these turned into. So my final answer is 7x squared minus 4x plus 5 halves. And that's it.